tie the game in a knot, did you seem like you were hypercritical of yourself?
I'm always hypercritical of myself. That's just like I told you, my mom, nothing excited her, nothing. And I used to get bad grades, Soren. Just like I told you, I used to just fuck up in school. I was very smart, but just talking in class and just not paying attention. And I remember I got one really good report card, and I think I might have had like three B's. I think I might have had one A, three B's, and two C's. And I just knew that was going because I used to bring some D's and F's home and get tortured. But I came home with this report card and I thought my mom was gonna be super excited. And she wasn't. And I was like, dang, nothing excites you. And she told me, she said, well, if you want to excite me, can you fly? Show me you can fly. And I was like, so she's never been excited about much. And that kind of spilled over to me. So I've always been very critical of myself because I tell you, I can't really see myself. And I've spoken to people about it, and they say that's what gives you your edge. Because when you feel like you're hella dope, you can't get no better. You feel me? And I
And
tell
you
people
don't
that.
and you don't want to listen to anybody telling
Yeah.
you you could
And,
get better.
and I tell artists that all the time. I said, it's okay to feel yourself. You need to be confident in this sport, but don't bullshit yourself. See, because when you start believing the bullshit, it's hard to get better. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna always be hypercritical. Like to this day, people like, man, you Richie Rich, you be acting too humble. Dude, this is just who I am. But that humbleness is what keeps me grounded enough not to fly off the edge. I've seen guys fly off the fucking edge, feeling themselves. You know what I mean? So when you say hypercritical in that song, what am I saying in that song that's hypercritical?
Being fucked up individual.
Oh, hey, well, I'm just popping my shit. I'm talking to women when I say that. I'm a fucked up individual. I come with some habits. So yeah, because I done broke some hearts in my day. And then I'm also talking to, I like to play with those scales. Might dip in your package, might tighten up your bitch if she lose. Because I got that's been attached to me. Oh, Rich will fuck your bitch. And that ain't always the case. Like a lot of times they don't tell me they belong to somebody else when they come over here. You know what I mean? But I get that handle. So that it sounded greasy, but because I'm a comedian too. So a lot of my lyrics have a certain amount of humor to them. So I have to shoot at myself too. And I tell them, I'm a fucked up individual. I come with some habits. I like to play with them scales, might dip in your package. And what that means is if I know somebody want to buy a pound of weed and my buddy got it and the weed is real good and I don't have no weed, I might take a few nuggets up out of there and put it into my bag. You might be a few grams short, but the weed gonna be good though. I ain't gonna take no whole bunch. But I try to keep it. I try to keep it fresh with a little bit of humor and a lot of truth, to let you know exactly what you're dealing with. It's funny you trip off that line right there because a lot of people say, "Hey, that line, you that's a hard line." You say you a fucked up individual. And I know some females who will say, "Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, he's definitely." So I point the gun at me a lot, but usually when I point it at me, it's not loaded. You feel me?
Well, that's why I guess that line, but the song in general was a little striking for that reason because and that's the other thing about you and a lot of the great artists. I think a lot of times the humorous element of things,
Right,
for whatever reason, we don't talk about how funny, especially when you're speaking game, the
right,
game itself is funny because of how you and others present it. It's
right,
not just like a boring school lecture or something. It's hilarious if you really pay
right.
attention.
Yeah, for real. I mean, if you have any humor to yourself, life should be hilarious because it's just a bunch of fucking lessons. You know what I mean? Dude, I fell down the fucking stairs today. I've been living in this house forever. I'm coming down the stairs this morning. I got on some pajama pants and I don't have on, they flannel and I got on socks, but the pants are so long to where the bottom of them slid under my sock. But I'm being nosy because my daughter is here and I'm trying to see if she's on the couch. So I got a swivel staircase. So I get down to about the fifth stair and I'm looking to see where she's at. Whoop. and I lose my footing and bow, right? Now, I fell down these stairs in this house before when the stairs were carpet. When I first bought the house, the stairs were carpet. I fell from the top and it was hilarious, dude. Because when you fall from the top, you just waiting. So I reached and grabbed one of the little posts, and it did some. So I let go of it. But when I got to the bottom and realized I wasn't dead, it was kind of funny to me. So to me, life is very funny, especially when shit happens to you that you caused. You know, and that's I like to laugh at a lot of things. Um, I think being bitter about shit and overly critical about shit in life will hinder you from really seeing how funny life truly is. Because life it's a funny thing. Because
Absolutely.
everything that happens to you, you allowed it to happen. My mom used to say that. And I used to be like, well, this just happened. She said, well, you let that happen, you know? And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I didn't. And then when she explained it to me, she said, yeah, you did. Because if you had changed X, Y, and Z, then, so that's what we were talking about early on. You got to grab this shit by the horns, man, and you got to make it what you want it to be. But everything that happens to you is based on something, a decision that you made. You know what I mean? Now, every now and then, something might happen, but if you trace it all the way back, even if it's some tragic shit, it still comes back to a decision that you made, you
And
know?
that I think is the ultimate challenge of life is people don't understand or appreciate really how much power they really have.
Man, it's
And
all exactly.
that to me is something that as I've gotten older and as I've learned and said things, like if you look at, you being a rapper, you being in the streets, whatever it was with you. If you look at me being from Maryland and having no ties to the music industry or writing, and then boom, look at what you became, look at what I became. But it's because like you said earlier, focused on that, and
Exactly.
then we did it. But it's because we chose to do it. I didn't have any family members. You didn't have any family members that were like,
Right.
"Oh, let me just give Richard a record deal with Def Jam." Like, no,
Right. Yeah.
that did. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I
But
got a
worked.
homeboy. I got a homeboy. We used to compete with females, and he had got to a point to where the chicks, when he was young, he used to have all bad ones. He got to a point where he started fooling with like bigger chicks. So I used to be hoovering him. I said, bro, like, what the fuck you doing? So he's like, oh, the only reason you get the bad ones is because you rap. And I was like, okay, but I write these raps. Like, I wasn't born with records. You know what I mean? So that they should be with me for, I mean, this is something that I sat down, I wrote these songs, I recorded them, and shit, that's work that I put in. And so what you're saying is real, like, and I try to tell people this all the time. Once you get to a certain age, if you're blessed to get to a certain age, you realize that life is one big mirror. Whatever the fuck you put in front of it is what you see. Period. Period. There's no, oh, they got a better shot than me and I didn't. No, nope, nope. Whatever you put in is what you get out. If you don't put nothing in, you don't get nothing out. And
Well, I think
it's just
that's
that simple.
and that ties into the "We Different" song you have on Richard too, because one of the things in the chorus in particular, you talk about changing your diet. No more diabetes, no more chicken, no more. So like that even is part of the game and of the game of life
Right.
is I have a problem. How do I fix it if I choose to fix it? Because if I don't, these are the consequences. If I do fix it, or at least attempt to fix it, these are the consequences.
And it was some double game in that lyric because I had a guy, I put a post on my Instagram. I got a sponsorship with a sausage company out here. It's called Evergood Sausages. And I put a post on my Instagram. They brought a bunch of beef sausages to my house and they were on the porch and I filmed it. And some dude jumped all over that. Man, I thought you said you don't eat hamburgers. And so he said this in the DM. He didn't say it on the, what you call him. He DM'd me like, oh man, I thought you didn't eat hamburgers. I said, well, I didn't see any hamburgers on there. So those were sausages. I said, but I get where you're coming from. I said, sometimes the way these lyrics come, they don't come from me. Most of my writing comes from up top. It's just once the music comes on. But that had a double meaning. When we were in the street, there were three things people used to hustle: weed, blow, and some people hustled heroin. So when we speak on no more burgers, no more chicken, no more diabetes, no more burgers, no more chicken, I'm talking just like you said, because I have done the vegan thing. I switched my diet up, got off of meat totally, and it was great. Uh, I got so small though, because I didn't know how to eat correctly as a man not eating a bunch of meat. So I start reinstituting certain things into my diet. But the other side of it is, let's say we different. No more curb serving, no more kitchen. So we talking about we not on the street selling dope no more. We not in the kitchen cooking dope no more. No more burgers, no more chicken. The burger is brown, heroin is brown, chicken is white, the coke is white. So it has a couple of meanings. It can go a few ways. You know what I mean? But and you have to be in tune. So when he chopped that at me, he was like, I thought you. So I hit him with that. I said, well, the burgers and the chicken is a reference to the heroin and the cocaine. We're not hustling no more. He's like, damn, that's deep. Okay, I didn't, so a lot of times, like I told you, I don't do no lying in these records. But a lot of my lyrics, bro, come from another place. And they've always been like that. When the music comes on, that pen Soren will just get to going. And I'll listen to songs 2, 3 years later and be like, damn, I didn't even, when I wrote that, I didn't say, okay, I'm gonna say no more burgers, no more chicken, because that means no heroin and no women, or that means it just rhymes. My workflow is when I'm rhyming, the first goal is to try to sound as clean as possible. That's my first thing. Like, I got to say some clean shit that sounds clean. Okay, that's the first layer. And then the second layer is I need it to make sense too. I don't want to just be saying anything. So I tell people all the time, to me, a good rapper was a guy who was good in English class because your vocabulary, to me, this is how I see music. The bigger vocabulary you have, the better artist, rapper you're going to be. Because if you're digging out of a bag of 40 words, and there are some Americans who only know 40 words, they don't know that there was a there, and a there. See, I know that. I was good in English. School wasn't my thing, but I'm a very smart dude. They don't know about there, and there. You know, there's, you can say my kid, you can say my child, you can say my lad, there's a lot of things that you can say. So the bigger your vocabulary bag, the more your songs are going to sound different. And when you're dealing with an artist who's dealing out of this small bag of words, and then you're like, damn, a lot of his songs sound the same. It's not that the songs sound the same, it's just his vocabulary is limited. So you're hearing these words over and over and over. Well, my writing process, man, this shit just comes from the sky. I don't know if you ever seen that movie. You ever seen Heat?
I have.
One of my favorite movies. You ever remember when Robert De Niro was in there talking to the dude who used to set up all the plays, the dude with the long hair?
Hmm.
Said, man, where do you get this information from? And dude was like, man, it's just in the air, man. It's just up there. He just grabbed this shit. Like my bars, dude, they come from another place. And a lot of times I'll write songs. Like I wrote Do G's Get to Go to Heaven in probably 15 minutes, bro. Like
Mm.
I write very fast. So I tell people I have a ghostwriter, and he's not somebody I know. These songs come from another place. And by the time they get to me, I write them, lay them, put them out. And then a lot of times I'll go back and listen, and I'll be like, damn, what was I on when I said that? Because I didn't, as I'm writing it, I didn't say, okay, this means this. So I'm not that critical. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But I'm just blessed to The bars just come to me like that, bro. So damn near anything I say, I can explain. I don't have a lot of fluff lyrics out there. And I like people like this. You're one of the first interviewers who is dissecting some of my bar game, you know, because a lot of people sit back and just listen and be like, oh, that's dope. But I can explain anything that I've said.